So today I'm going to be going over a basic Photoshop tutorial, and there's many things you can do with Photoshop. It's a very useful software for basic photo editing, but there's also a lot more you can do with it in terms of compositing images, creating graphics, painting, drawing. It's a very versatile software, but also quite a complex one. So um, trying to learn the basics of it are essential. You'll find that there's many ways of doing the same thing in Photoshop, but essentially it's just about kind of getting to know the really essential tools that you can use and then working around that. So for this first session, I'm going to start with just going over some of the basics of digital imaging. So one of the first things to note is some of the file formats that exist in terms of photos and what you'll be saving your files and what you'll be importing your files in as. So essentially, with Photoshop, the three main files that you'll be importing, as in editing, will either be JPEGs, which will probably be the most common, RAW files, or DNG files. Most commonly, you'll use JPEGs, as these are the most kind of versatile and most kind of commonly used files. So when you import a JPEG into Photoshop, the file that you'll then be working on will then be considered a PSD file. So what this means is that a PSD file is basically a file that you can save with all the Photoshop options. So this includes layers, any assets in the file, different effects. So this is much more complex and tend to be a larger size than the JPEG you save it as. So you'll find that when you save a Photoshop file on your computer, it should save as a PSD. Make sure you save it as a PSD. That way, if you want to close it and turn back to it, then you can always just keep working into the same changes. When you're outputting the files, you'll basically want to save them either as a JPEG, again, as the file you normally import. The advantage of saving as a JPEG is that it's just fast to download, but you will need to make sure you export it at high quality. You'll see later that we can kind of decide what quality we tend to output or export our working file as. Then another file type you'll find is a PNG, which is essentially has transparency support. So instead of a JPEG, where you have areas of transparency, it won't be white; it will be transparent, and so this means it's really good for web graphics and logos as well. You can also save as a GIF, which is is basically good for animations, so moving images. Also as a video or as a Photoshop PDF. But the most commonly ones you'll probably save as is either as a JPEG or a PNG for now. So next we'll look at some of the other options you'll see in this menu. So you'll see there's a number of different basically document sizes that you can select. So the standard ones here, you'll see A3, A4, are kind of ones I tend to use the most. But you can navigate and see a number of different saved presets for basically the document sizes here. So you can find whichever one kind of you want. So you can even find ones that are more print. So print will basically mean that these are more suitable if you're planning on printing your image. So they'll have basic kind of printed paper sizes. Whereas if you maybe want to do more web-based graphics, then you might want to prefer something like Art and Illustration or Web, which instead will basically format it to maybe the size of a web page or to a poster or something which is more pixel-based. So it's important to remember how basically Photoshop does its resolution. So you'll see that it will kind of each file or preset will have a different measurement here, and then it will give you basically a PPI, which is a resolution pixels per inch. So in this case, I make sure that my resolution is 300 pixels per inch, The resolution basically means because you're having more pixels per inch of your file, you'll get a nicer looking file. You'll find things are better in better resolution just look better if you increase the scale of them. So I tend to use kind of a classic one that I'll probably use a lot is just an A4, and then with these standard measurements, and then 300 pixels per inch is what works for me. Then you'll see as well that you can change the orientation here. You can adapt the pixels per inch. You can increase it or decrease it if you want. The next thing you'll see is the color mode. So the standard color mode is just a kind of RGB color, 8-bit, that we'll be using. So basically what this determines is the range of color values possible in your file. So you can change the number of bits if you want. So this is kind of just a default, but if you were to choose, say, 16-bit or 32-bit, basically what this means is that it will increase the number of different color values possible. And you'll find that certain different values, so different kind of color modes will be suitable for different outputs. So you might find that basically a RGB color will be more suitable for web graphics and screen displays, just because that's how RGB color is the way that most screen displays will display certain colors. But say if you want a grayscale, like just a kind of black to white, then you can do that if you're just working with, say, a black and white printer, for example. So as you can see, there's kind of the color mode you select as you create your file can determine quite a lot. But for now, we'll just keep on RGB color and 8-bit file. So then we'll just create a new file here. And as you can see, I'm just getting a blank page, and this is kind of the Photoshop workspace. So next I'll just be going over some of the basics of the Photoshop interface. So you'll see that you have a number of different workspaces, a number of different pop-ups and panels have appeared here. So essentially, just to break it down, you'll find in the top menu, so right at the top of the page, you'll kind of have your command menu items. So basically you're kind of a full list of basically every command, but nested in this top bar. Things like the layer, which you'll use a lot, image adjustments. You can kind of scroll through these and find most of the different commands that you're looking for. On the left toolbar, you'll find more specific tools. So these will be to do with editing things on your page with your mouse. So very useful to kind of to see these. You'll notice that if you just hover over each individual icon and just leave it, it will give you a kind of pop-up bar which tells you more about what the tool does, and it will also give you a shortcut for the tool, which is very useful if you like to use shortcuts, faster way of working. On the bottom bar, you can click on this chevron here. It tells you kind of the basic information about your document, and it will give you information about the document sizes and all these different information about the basic document. So as you click these, you'll see it kind of provides the information there at the bottom bar. You can also one of the good things about Photoshop is that it is highly adaptable. So you'll see that there's a lot of these different toolbars here, but all of these things you can change and you can move around. So this is especially true of this right toolbar here, which basically has is basically some of these commands from the window. So this is kind of the window is showing all these different things that you can show in your tool space, and you can kind of bring any of these into this space where anywhere on your screen, just kind of adapt to your style of working or what tools you'll be using the most. So one thing you'll see is these in this window panel, you'll see that there's ticks next to certain of the basically window options. So layers, for example, you'll see this layers panel I've got down here. So I can basically if I were to say wanted to add another panel here, then I can always add, let's say, history, my history tool. And if I click it, you can see it comes up here. And if I drag this anywhere, I can move it anywhere. I can place it in a different, nest it in a different toolbar. I can even put it to the left. Whatever really works for me, I find useful. So one of the key things I would make sure that you do have nested is the layers tool is really important, and then something for color and swatches, which just makes life a lot easier in terms of adding colors to your file. Next, we will look at our view menu on the top toolbar. You'll see that there's this is basically just the basics of zooming in and zooming out and orienting around your file in Photoshop. So you'll see from view you can click zoom in, which will zoom into your file, and from view you can also zoom out. A faster way of doing this is to just press Control and then plus, or Control minus, which will zoom in and out respectively. If you press Control 0, it will fit to screen, and then Control 1 will zoom 100%. So this is like, I guess, a very proportional zoom that you can get straight away. Another tool you can use for zooming in and out is the zoom tool on the left toolbar. You'll see this on the as a magnifying glass icon. If I just click this, you'll see that it gives me this this icon for the magnifying glass. If I click once, it zooms in with this plus icon. If I hold Alt and click, it gives me this minus, so I'm zooming out as well. So I just need to make sure that I click Alt, or if I'm not holding Alt, it will zoom in. So zoom in and out with this toolbar. You can shortcut this tool pressing the Z key, and it just zooms in. It just shortcuts like that. You can also another way that you can zoom in, again showing you the number of ways you can do the same thing, is using your navigator. So if you go to Window and find the navigator panel here, and I click it, it will give me this tool here, and basically it will give me this red box, and this white panel here is basically showing me my whole file. I can zoom in and out using the slider here, and I can quite easily, this is useful because I can still see where my zoom is in proportion to my whole file quite easily. So I could move the red box anywhere, and it will keep zooming, keep it still showing me where it is in relation to everything else. The next kind of visualization tool, basic navigating tool that I want to show you is the pan tool. So you'll find this again in the left toolbar, and it's just represented by this hand icon here. So I can just click this here, and it will just let me pan around my file like this. So I can basically just click and drag, and it's letting me pan. And one of the things that Photoshop does do as well automatically is it kind of automatically extends, like it flicks your pan. So if I were to just drag and let go, it kind of continues the pan anyway. So this is useful if you just want to just kind of rapidly pan through or across your image a bit faster. Another way to pan is actually to just press if you're just selecting a different tool, you can just hold your spacebar and click, and it will automatically pan for you as well, like this, which is quite useful, of course. Also, you can also shortcut to the pan tool with the H key as well. Once you have the pan tool open, if you double click, then it will zoom. It will zoom to the. If you double click on the hand tool here, it will zoom to the extents as well. So this is useful if you just want a quick way instead of going to. It's an alternative way of just clicking Control 0 zoom extents. Another way is Similarly, if instead of clicking Control 1 to zoom 100%, you can always just double click the zoom icon on the left toolbar as well, and it will zoom 100 as well. Alternatively, if you do have if you have a mouse with a scroll wheel, then one way you can zoom in is you can use your scroll key, and if you press, if you hold Control and scroll, it will also zoom in and out as well. You can also scroll through different screen modes. So basically, this will change the appearance of your toolbars. One thing you can do is press the tab key. This will, if you press it, you'll see that it hides all the menus, but you press it again, and it will reveal all the menus as well. So one thing you can also do is if you press F, you'll see that I can toggle through a variety of different screen modes. So this is kind of the default with all the panels that I have available. This one basically means that all the menus are kind of floated a bit more, and there's a bit more space, as you can see, between the margins. This one is just no menus at all. All the menus are hidden, and it returns back to the normal one. So you can toggle quite simply between all of these just by pressing F